Julie is amazing. Julie and her sister and two friends started Mabel's Labels out of a basement. And I love these stories when they start as a brilliant idea and you start in the basement and then it's just a rocket ship. In 2014, not that many years ago when you started, from 2003, she was ranked 222nd on the Profit 500 list, so that's an amazing feat. Huge exposure in the US, and if you didn't know, Mabel's Labels is also sold in Walmart Canada for the last 3 years, so very, very impressive. Julie also in a previous life was a lawyer. She's a syndicated blogger and a PR branding guru, and Mabel's Labels has been on Rachel Ray, The View, The Early Show, and The Marilyn Dennis Show, which is amazing. So not only this, she has 6 children. So I'm pretty sure you have access to cloning technology. So let us know about that, if you please. What she's going to do is tell us that story of, from the basement to where she is today, and it's just going to be an amazing story, and I'm looking forward to it. So please help me welcome Julie Cole.
Whenever I get my intro, I realize that's why I'm so stinking tired all the time. Thanks for coming today. I just thought I'd share some of the things that we've learned along the way, and also talk a little bit about that, ever elusive balance thing, and how I manage all of the business babies and blogging and all that jazz. So I started this company 12 years ago with 3 friends. One is a sister. There's my mic. One is my sister, and then the 2 other friends were friends from University of Waterloo. We all met there. And one actually married my brother, and one married my young uncle. So that's what happens when the male members of your family come to do Oktoberfest with you. They start smooching your friends and then marrying them. So we're also all family. Which has been great. I mean, there's a lot of great advantages to that. I mean, we're still all very involved in the business, so somehow we made it work. In the beginning, we started in my sister's basement. We are an e-commerce business. We're a web-based business originally, but we didn't have a website and we didn't know a thing about technology, so we actually ended up getting our first website from some nerd friends of ours from University of Waterloo. We gave them a foosball table. And they did our website. Now, having just relaunched our website, go have a look. It's beauteous. It's just beautiful. We just got it done. And yeah, I wish it only cost me a foosball table this time around, let me tell you. A little more than that. So we started in my sister's basement. It was, busy times. I remember at that time, I was pregnant with my 4th kid. I would be making labels in the basement till 2 a.m., then go home, get up with the kids at 6, ridiculous. And then we outgrew the basement. It was time to get a bigger place. We had 2 employees, and it was pretty much like sweatshop facility down there. So rather than getting a commercial property at that point, we decided to tell my sister to buy a bigger house with a bigger basement. And she did. So off she moved to her big house with a big basement, and we thought we'd be there 5 years. We lasted 2, and then we outgrew that. Actually, we have one employee who still laughs. She says the first time she met me, I was sitting on the floor of my sister's basement, crisscross applesauce with my laptop, and she's like, wait, don't you own this? I'm like, I know, I can't get a seat. So then after we outgrew Aberdeen, we went to where we are now, which is in Chatham Street in Hamilton, Ontario. And we have, it's a 14,000 square foot facility, and we do our production there. We make all our labels. We have all our marketing, our IT, all that jazz. So that's where we are now, very comfortably. And yes, we do have chandeliers everywhere because that's how we roll. And we've grown a lot. So this was our staff in 2007, and this is our staff now. So we have 40 full-time employees, and that's really exciting and fun. And we've experienced a lot of growth. So we're a small to mid-sized company now. So we've been at this 10 years, well now, gosh, longer than that. It's kind of like your kids. The days last forever, but the years go by quickly, So we're actually 12 years now, but what have we learned? The first thing would be about your partners. So I don't know if any of you have business partners, but most business advisors would be like, don't be starting a business with 3 other people, seriously. But it's worked for us. But we really knew who we were getting into bed with. We knew each other really well. Certainly we have lots of feisty conversation around the boardroom table. And that will happen, and you have to be very good about being able to walk out and say, hey, are you taking the kids to the movie tonight still, or what are you bringing for Thanksgiving dinner? We also share a cottage together, as Kathleen knows. She was there last summer in our cottage, which is awesome. So yeah, we have to be really great communicators, and sometimes we screw up, and sometimes we mess up. We don't communicate in the best way, and then we just remind ourselves that we're practicing and we're learning and we'll do better next time. Communication is absolutely the key. Also a key, get a shareholders agreement together while you're all still friends, because if you think like marital divorce is messy, try business divorce. You don't want to go there. So yes, I think put things in place so that if the partnership does not work out, then it can end in a as amicable way as possible. We've also been very good about sharing our story. We've got a lot of media and PR. I think it's, we've got a great story. We're the 4 moms from the basement who now are like, international company, blah, blah, blah. But that's the thing you need to leverage with your businesses. You have a story and share it. That's what they want to know. They want to hear about your journey, and that's where you're going to get your PR. We were very early in getting a PR firm working with us, and I think that was smart. A lot of people do a lot of DIY, and we did it ourselves as well. But honestly, like the kind of stuff you get from a PR agency, it's their contacts, and you get testimonials, right? So it's not like advertising, you get actual testimonials, so it's got a lot of leverage. So you may say, I can't afford it, but sometimes I think you can't afford not to. Even if it's just for a product launch or something like that for a short amount of time, look into getting some professional PR, putting professional PR around it. I'm a big fan. It's very important to build community, especially for us. Like, moms love community, right? Like, we're the moms. They're all blogging, they're on social media. We have 140,000 Facebook fans at Mabel's Labels because they want community and they want to feel a part of things. So we make sure that we provide that for them. I'm a blogger. I've been blogging since 2006. I blog at Huffington Post, at Mabel's, at Yummy Mummy Club, Modern Mom, a bunch of places. Do I blog about labels? Heck no. I don't blog about labels. I blog about being a mom and having loads of kids and running a business, because that's what they want to hear. People want to feel connected. That's what's going to differentiate you from the big guys. You're a brand, you're a face, you're relatable. And that's what we've done really well. Awards. I think getting awards is a really good idea, and at least applying for them. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One is, it's great PR. Get your name out there. Like, I'm still on the Rolodex when somebody looks up a mom or a business person. They're doing an article on the Globe and Mail, okay? Who have we got? I come up. I think the process is good. Have you got a business plan together? Have you planned? What are you doing? What's your 5-year out? So doing the actual application is such a pain, but it's so worth it because it makes you ask yourself those questions. And it makes you an expert, like you might be viewed as an expert in something. And again, that gets you being the person who gets the call when they want somebody to comment on something. And that's getting your company, your name out there, which is good for your business. And you have to be innovative. I mean, of course we've been copied. We are copied within 5 minutes of starting our company. You're gonna get copied, know it, accept it, try not to, worry about it too much. Like, we've got a lot of fast followers. We'll spend a year putting a product out, somebody else does it, they see what we do, and they do it 3 months later. But to us, the fun part is being innovative, and we don't want to be a fast follower. But you got to make sure you don't obsess too much about your fast followers. Look at them in the rearview mirror, keep an eye on what they're doing, but don't let that get in the way of your focus. You focus on what you're doing. And innovation takes all kinds of forms. Yeah, products, for us, for sure, product innovation. But we also are innovative when it comes to, us going into retail. We were 10 years online business, and then we did something completely crazy and got a retail product and did retail. Also, one thing that I love that we've done that is innovative is we have a results-only work environment. So from an HR perspective, like, nobody in our company, I don't care where they sit and do their job. Like, they don't have to sit at Mabel's Labels from 8:30 to 5:30 every day. And it is amazing. It's so strange. When you start treating people like adults, they act like adults. And I knew better than anyone. Like, I'm a mom. I have 6 kids. I built this business, at very unconventional times, and I was highly productive in very unconventional ways, so why not extend that to our staff? So we're all goal-focused. And I had an IT kid go to Europe for 3 months on row, and he didn't miss a deadline, didn't miss a goal, so didn't miss a paycheck, and came home to his job. And the beautiful thing about that was he learned that dreams and work don't have to be mutually exclusive. We didn't lose a great employee. And also, while he was there, he went to all these print shows. He met all these cool nerds when he was at these like hubs and ShareDesk and stuff like that. So my company benefited as well. So innovation can take all kinds of great forms. And the other great thing about the row, I have so many great things. I can talk about that for hours, but I'll shut up about that. But the one thing about it too, when you're a small company and maybe you can't afford to do the big salaries and stuff like that, this is a really great HR recruiting tool. You know, especially for IT folks, because they know better than anyone that you can work from anywhere. I mean, look at us, right? How much we can get done from, I can sit up on my dock. Actually, we don't have a lot of Wi-Fi up there, but it's good. It makes me not. There's one rock I can go on like this if I have to. But you know, you can work from anywhere, anytime, so why not, right? So I thought I'd just take a couple minutes also to talk about my life. Welcome to my nightmare. How do I manage business, babies, and blogging? Because people often ask me how I do that. The first thing I would say is get help. And, you know, like I was just talking to some of the gals earlier and they're like, oh gosh, you've been doing a lot of travel, how you manage it? Well, it takes a village and I've got a good one and I've made sure I put a good one together. But I learned that lesson the hard way and learn from me through my mistakes. I got a nanny when my 5th child was 1 year old. Can you say 3 kids too late on that one? Like, what was that? But I think part of it is, like, I think as women, we tend to get in this, I left the traditional workforce. I started this business, actually started because A, good product idea, B, my eldest child got diagnosed with autism. So I dropped out of the traditional workforce in order to put a program together for him. And I had a 40-hour-a-week ABA program. My basement was turned into basically an educational facility, and therapists were coming and going. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get a nanny because why would I do that when I left the traditional workforce so I could be with my kids? And then, but that kind of way of thinking is really backwards because then, basically I have 3 or 4 years where I just kind of don't remember. It's all a blur. And once I got a nanny, I'm like, ooh, it all lifted. I'm like, oh, the people, the cute small people, I love them. And my work, I love it. It just made everything a lot better. So don't be one of those stubborn people like me and get the help you need. Get a cleaner, get somebody to come and clean your house. And, the whole, I can't afford it. If you're not giving your kids like craft dinner for 3 nights a week, every week, you can afford it because you think a cleaner, I'm talking just like every 2 weeks, somebody come in and do the floors, toilets, because a cleaner is way cheaper than a divorce lawyer. And, a clean house can save marriages. So there you go. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Just say no. Yeah, you got to start saying no to stuff. It's hard. It's not something we do well. Stand in front of the mirror and try it out. I don't have a cloning machine in the basement. When I do, I'll use it and then I'll auction it off to the highest bidder. But until then, there's just me. And, there's only so much I can get done. So I've become really good at saying no. Now when I get invited to an event or, because I do blogging, a lot of brands and products want me to, so they'll invite me to their things. Like I literally have a checklist and it's got 10 things on it about whether I say yes to going to an event. And if it doesn't fit, then I just say no because I could be at something like every day and I still, we got to get the labels out the door too, right? And I also challenge you all to, how we all have those like long to-do lists? I want you to write a should not do list. What's on there that you don't need to be doing? Write it down and ditch it, delegate it out, or maybe it doesn't really matter anyways. Like I kind of sometimes do the 100-year out rule. Like, does it really matter in the big picture? And that's a good way to know whether you should be doing it or not doing it. Lower the bar. Yeah. Look, sometimes I say my standards are so low, if they're any lower, I trip on them. You know what? We're all busy juggling activities, our kids, our work lives and stuff. Like, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Like, honestly, if the kids have hot dogs 2 nights in a row, like, my kids have not had scurvy yet. So, and nobody's called CAS on me because there weren't, cooked vegetables on the dinner table. And this particularly happens when I have a new baby. Like I've had 6 C-sections, so it's always a bit of a bummer of a recovery because I get home, like toddlers are jumping on my guts and stuff. So I really lower my standards around that time. When I have a new baby, I would say if my kids ask for bowls of mayonnaise for dinner, I'm like, bowls of mayonnaise all around. Everybody gets bowls of mayonnaise. Everybody laughs about bowls of mayonnaise. Like, it's okay. It's okay. The kids are all right. And I have a feeling they're gonna be okay, even if they have a bowl of mayonnaise for dinner once in a while. And the thing is, and I'm really lucky because, I could invite any of you into my home right now, not knowing the state of it, and I would be so fine with it. I think I stopped caring what people think about 4 kids ago, because, to me, it doesn't matter. Nobody at my funeral is gonna talk about my beautiful, pristine home and my gorgeous meals or anything like that. And that's awesome because guess what? I don't want them talking about that at my funeral. That's not important to me, but it is very freeing. My mother-in-law once said to me, Julie, you're so lucky. You're so lucky that you don't care about the state of your house or how your kids look. But she was right, and she meant it genuinely because she saw me the way I parented, and she was like, I never played with my kids. I never did anything with my kids. I was so busy. On Mondays, she would have, every day, she would have her diapers on the line at 6 a.m. because she wanted the neighbors to see that she had hers out there first. She washed the sheets every Tuesday, and that was even if there was no vomit on them, or snot, or pee. She would just wash them for no reason. Right? Crazy. Who is this woman, this mad woman? No wonder as soon as she comes to my house, she starts stripping sheets. But she, she's legit in what she's saying. She's saying, Julie, you got it figured out, right? It's okay. We're all the important thing is that, and doing the 100-year rule out thing, me spending time with my kids, does that matter? Yeah, it is, because guess what? Then they're going to be great parents, and they're going to do the same, and they're going to have great kids. Me making sure that my house is spotless before you walking in, what's the worst going to happen? You're going to say I'm a slob. Okay. News for you. I am. No big mystery. No, it's fine. The kids all have chores. They do a good job keeping the place clean. So yeah, just don't be so hard on yourself. And I know I've got a lot of friends who are like, Julie, I wish I could do that. I can't do that though. Pick something. Just start small and practice. Whenever you feel like I can't do that, this isn't working, remind yourself I'm still practicing, and just pick one thing that you can chill out about and try that. Be strategic. Yeah, I plan my days strategically when it comes to my kids and my work. Part of the results-only work environment, is people aren't allowed to do those drive-bys. When you're working at your desk and somebody, hey, Julie, can I pick your brain? You're like, yeah, what? And then you help them, and then you get focused back on what you're doing, and then 2 seconds later, somebody says, hey, Julie, can I pick your... And you look up. We don't allow those at Mabel's Labels, and it's a beautiful thing. So what happens is I can turn off all my notifications. I will work for an hour, and then I'll take 10 minutes to check my emails, check my social media, whatever. And it's awesome because what it means is that somebody else's lack of planning doesn't turn into my emergency. So people running into my office saying, oh my God, Julie, I need this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, no. If they need to talk to me, they can email me and say, Julie, are you available to have a talk with me today? And I'll be like, yes, I'm gonna be in my office with my door open from 2:15 to 2:30, please pop in then. So I'm not having those interruptions all the time. And that is so, when I have so much, and you guys are gonna be the same, I have to be highly productive. I got a lot of shit to get done every day, a lot. So not only am I strategic at work, I'm strategic with my family. My kids, if I have to have a girl who plays hockey on a boys team so that they're on the same team, so be it. If one girl has to play up, so, this year I just survived my first year of 6 kids in ice hockey. Thank you very much. Thank you. And carpool queen. I set up a Facebook page for my neighborhood moms. There's 250 of us on it. I could go on there now and somebody be like, guys, I have to pick up my car down on Brand Street. Is anyone driving down? And somebody will have said, I'm on my way, I'll pick you up. Or I'd be like, hey, is anyone doing this? And people are like, you're so lucky you have such a strong community. I'm like, nah, it's not luck, I set it up.
I set it up. So, I always find, the more I work and the sweatier I get, the luckier I am, right? Don't you find that? Strange coincidence. So you know what? Build yourself these communities. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. And make yourself, I have a lot of people do a lot of favors for me, but I can tell you when I'm at home, I'm doing mom favors. If we had neighbors, oh my God, my neighborhood's hilarious. The kids are always at my house. Neighbor and kids have their own food cupboard at my house. And we had neighbors who filled in their pool because they were like, well, our kids are always in the six-pack. Our house is called the six-pack house. They're always in the six-pack pool. So why wouldn't we have a pool? The best was, these neighbor kids, this is just such a sideline, but I gotta tell you because it's so funny. I just thought of it 3 years ago. No, it must have been longer than that because I had a baby at the time. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was so tired. I was like, Daddy, I'm going to sneak up for a nap. You got this? And he's like, yeah, go. So I went and had a nap, and I woke up from my nap, and I was having a nice cuddle with one of my babies. I opened my eyes. It was the next door neighbor who's 6. So yes, we have a very open door policy in my house. So be strategic, and I'm very strategic about my time because I do get a lot of that. Julie, can I pick your brain? I'm starting a business. Can I pick your brain? I'm doing this. Can I pick your brain? And I want to help, and I want to share what I've learned because that's really important. But at the same time, I got to get the labels out the door. I got to sell the labels, right? So what I figured out was what I'm going to do is I do a half day every 6 weeks where I set up shop at a coffee shop. And anyone who says in that 6 weeks, can I pick your brain? I say, yes, this is schedule. And they can have 40 minutes. And if they're like, that day doesn't work for me, I'm like, okay, notify me for my next session. So it's not me jumping through hoops to help people, but I have the opportunity to help them, but it's in a manageable way that works with my very busy schedule. So when I figured that one out, I was like, I nailed that. I can still help, but it's not, I'm not a consultant. I'm not getting paid to be a consultant, but I want to give back. So I don't mind doing a half day every 6 weeks, right? Sitting in a coffee shop and meeting people and sharing what I know and learning about all the cool stuff they're doing. But it was getting overwhelming, quite frankly. So I had to find a solution. And I think that's the thing. I don't, I'm not a big complainer. I'm a solution finder. So, my friends are always like, I'm so tired. I'm like, does that actually lead to you getting more sleep? Because that's never worked for me. Whenever I say I'm tired, I don't suddenly a bed appears and I get a nap. So if you're tired, figure out a way, rather than, and I don't actually like to be that mom. I don't want my kids hearing me complain. I was raised by somebody who never complained, and it was such a gift to me, and it's something that I'm really trying to, carry on because complaining is so, it's just not effective. It's not proactive at all. So if there's a problem, and there's problems all the time, let's try and find great solutions to them because that's how our time is best, most effective. So yes, be strategic, home and work. And make people value your time, right? That's when I'm talking about the drive-bys and the not consulting regularly. People need to appreciate your time. That goes for your husbands too. Remember, you're not saving lives. So, right, when we're running around at the end of August and we got to get the labels out the door and our hair's on fire, we're like, we got to get the labels out the door, the 24-hour turnaround. Sometimes I'm like, dudes, are we performing CPR right now? Have we pulled the defibrillator out? Are we doing the Heimlich maneuver? Come on. We're making labels. We're not saving lives. And we take our business very seriously, and we do take our 24-hour turnaround. We take it all very seriously, but sometimes you just have to have a healthy dose of perspective, and the same with the kids, the panic about the kids. The best thing you can do with your kids, honestly, is just get them as independent as you can. I always go with the line, why do for a child something they can do for themselves? I would never, when we were talking about this before, one of the moms was saying our kid was complaining about breakfast. I'm like, you get your kids breakfast? All my friends send their kids to Auntie Julie's boot camp, where they have 4 fun days of discipline and chores. No, but I'm telling you, it's with kids, short-term, easy is going to be long-term hard. If you're doing it for them, it's going to be harder for you long-term. So right now, make them make the messes, make them clean it up, and then your life is going to be so much easier when they're older. I've got a friend who's a control freak and a neat freak, bad combination, and she's got these 2 kids. So she never let them go in the kitchen because they would make messes. And you couldn't have that, right? Well, now those kids are 17 and 18, and they sit on the couch and Mom, get me a glass of milk. And she jumps up and gets them a glass of milk. Do you really want to order barking teens on your couch? Not so much. So get Tell them to pour a glass of milk. When they spill it, tell them to clean it up. So yeah, perspective is probably my thing that really has gotten me through the last crazy few years. And when life gives me lemons, I make a gin and tonic. And really, this is about just, I was just commenting, a mom was commenting on a Facebook group I'm on this morning about she's, fallen out of love with her husband and she's not sure what to do about it, whatever. And I said, look, you're the only one who knows your marriage, but life sometimes, when the grass starts looking greener on the other side, sometimes you have to start taking better care of your lawn and appreciating that your lawn's all right, and maybe I just need to throw a little bit of fertilizer on that, and maybe I need to do what I need to do. And this, again, is about appreciating what you have and having perspective, and that is the best gift that you can have for yourself and you can give to your children. And I do this by tricking myself into thinking about the good things. So an example of this would be, how our kids are always sick? Don't you find who am I going to get out the door this morning? The kids are always sick. So I pretty much go to bed every night thinking, in the middle of the night, I'm going to wake up and somebody's going to say, Mommy, I don't feel well. And I'm going to say, what's wrong? And as I'm saying what's wrong, they're going to vomit in my mouth. And every night I go to bed thinking I'm going to get somebody's going to puke in my mouth. And guess what? It only happens 4 times a year. So 361 days a year, I'm waking up going, nobody puked in my mouth. It was a great night, right? We got through it. So rather than being oh man, 4 times this year, really? I'm doing 361 times of the good. And that takes a shift in thinking. And again, and I had to teach myself that, and I practiced that because, look, when I had my 5th kid and my oldest kid was 6 with autism, dudes, not easy days. And, my mother-in-law, she's very wise in her ways. I remember her saying to me before we got married, Julie, there's not going to be hard days, hard weeks, hard months. There's going to be hard years. Hard years. So go into this knowing that. And I don't actually think it's been that bad, but it's not all going to be easy. It's not the land of milk and honey. It's not all romance and roses. It's hard work. When you're running a business and you're raising kids, it's hard work. So, you just work at it and try. You've got your perspective and your attitude, the things that you control, that can make it all a lot easier. So yeah, gins and tonics all around. Know yourself. I think it's really important to know ourselves and not to listen too much to what the gremlins out there are saying. I get a lot of people saying, oh, Julie, you don't get enough me time. You don't do me time. And quite frankly, I don't really, my idea of me time is just different. This is me time. Going to work is me time. Going to the hockey arena and not chasing a toddler around the stands and being able to watch my kid play is me time. And yeah, I'm not going to go sit and have a coffee and flip through magazines. I had a massage once. It was the most stressful hour of my life because I was lying there thinking about all the crap I could be getting done. And I finished, I was like, never again. That was awful. Where's my mental note of, it was terrible. And the same goes for our families. A lot of people tell you what you should be doing with your family. And, a lot of pressure is gone if you release that. Here's a classic one for you. At some point, a few years ago, everyone was saying, oh my God, you have 6 kids. How do you do one-on-one time with them? I was like, one-on-one time? What's this one-on-one time you speak of? And more people were saying it. So I just sat Daddy-O down. I'm like, dude, we're not start saving for therapy bills. We're not doing this one-on-one time thing with them that they need. And he was like, oh, okay. So what do you want to do? And I was like, I've got a plan. We're going to do this thing called date night. And every Friday night, one kid picks one parent, and they're going to go do something. And then the other parent will stay home with the other 5 kids. They can, they can go bowling. They can play cribbage at Tim Hortons. They can do whatever. It's their date night. He's like, sounds a bit contrived, but whatever, let's do it. He's pretty good. He lets me, I'm the president of the family. He's a very good vice president. If you can set that up, I highly recommend that too. So we sat the 6 children down and we explained date night to them. We said, yes, you're going to be able to pick a parent. You're going to go off. And they're like, I said, any questions? Mama, can I please bring a brother or sister along for my date night? I was like, is this a trick question? Was that a plant? I was like, I don't know. I think the whole point is, no, I think you're not supposed to. I don't know. I'm just listening to the other people telling me what my family needs. Next kid, Mama, can the whole family come on my date night? Screw date night, that was it. I think we had 2 date nights, and I was like, but you know what? That was me listening to the other people. I know what my kids need. First of all, they think it's boring if they're with one parent. That's what happens when you have a lot of kids. They're used to having lots of kids around, right? Especially your latter ones, like your third borns or whatever. They just don't even. My fourth, she had to, whenever she went to a birthday party, she had to bring an older sibling with her because she didn't like to be away from them. Codependency, and that might be other therapy bills. But I can't let other people tell me what my kids need. If I need to have a chat with my kid, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm going to the groceries. Come with me. Okay, mom, hop in the car. And you know those car chats. So once you realize you don't need to listen what other people tell you need for yourself and what your family needs, and just start trusting yourself as the expert of your family and trusting that, it relieves a lot of pressure and a lot of stress. I always say an entrepreneur starts a business to be able to make choices. We choose to live as dynamic business owners, enthusiastic mothers, and inspired women. And that is a lifestyle I highly recommend to you all. Thank you. Okay, we're doing questions.
Yes, we are doing
right
questions. Fisher and my company's Job Site Resources. The question I have for you is about adversity. As you're probably aware, there's been a massive shift in the economy in Alberta, and that's where a lot of my work is. And so when you come across a situation where all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is going to be hard, what do you do to get the motivation to pick yourself up and just go?
Yeah, it absolutely can be hard. I mean, we've gone through, one of my partners moved to California just before the recession hit, so it wasn't as successful as we had hoped. I think the thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to have such tenacity. You can't be, just personality-wise, you can't be too risk-averse. You've got to have a fairly good appetite for risk to be doing this kind of gig. I get the inspiration from, okay, if we can get through this, if we can get through this challenging time, like any companies that, survive a recession, they are going to be so strong. And, sometimes you have to shift your goals, you have to shift your thinking, you have to get help that you didn't plan for, that sort of thing. So you need to be flexible around that. The inspiration probably for a lot of entrepreneurs to keep going is the whole, I'd rather work 100 hours a week for myself than 40 hours a week for somebody else, because there is that, it's like, Mabel's like my other baby, right? Like, she's my 7th. And, I think, for me, I'd say to my partners, like, we keep each other accountable. And when one of us is feeling down about things, we've got the 3 others to help lift us up. So I think that's another way partners are helpful in those sort of tough situations. Also, when we go through tough situations personally, like when I've had, babies or dealing with my son's autism stuff and whatever, like, that's when partners have we really, wrap our arms around each other and hold each other up.
Hi, this is Kath Britton with Women's Enterprise Center. You talked about fast followers and looking in the rearview mirror. Do you have patents on your product? Or did you protect yourself?
No, ours can't be patented, but you can. I mean, everything is registered trademark. Do get that? Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, do get protection. You do have common law protection just from usage, but if you can register your trademarks and do that sort of thing, then, I mean, people are always turned off a little bit because of the price and stuff, but if there's something that you're using a lot of, we do obviously have our stuff. And when we've been ripped off, I mean, some of it has been ridiculous. Like, I once saw one of our labels on somebody else's ad. I'm like, are you kidding me? And so we did we're in a legal agreement with one company because they can't pass off. I mean, you can't try and trick the marketplace into thinking you're Mabel's Labels, right? And they also tried to own domain names that were like mabelslabels.org or whatever, and they're not allowed to do that. So there's actually quite a lot there that protects you. So, I mean, don't let people take the piss out of you, like, they can't be using your stuff. You do have to keep an eye on your competitors. But I just found for us, we had to really concentrate on not focusing on it too much because it was really getting to us. Like, it's like there's a couple companies, if you just say the name, I start twitching and breaking out into hives, right? But so you've got to stay focused on what you do, but put things in place to protect your company, absolutely. And if somebody crossed the line, you call a lawyer and say, yeah, not on.
Hi, Hi, Julie. My name's Denise Kelly, and I write a blog about the boomer vine, but I'm inspired. Thank you. I've never heard you speak. You talk about partners and the importance of partners in that. Daniel, is it your husband?
No, Simon.
Simon, okay.
We call him Daddy-O.
Okay, Danny or whatever. And my question to you is, as you launched your journey into Mabel's Labels, your relationship early on with him, was it different than it is now, in the sense that you're a risk taker, you, as an entrepreneur, you're successful, and how is he supporting you, and has that relationship changed from early on?
I think that's a spectacular question, because if you're going to start your own business, if your spouse or partner is not on board, good luck with that. Like, I really don't know how you would do it, because like literally he'd walk in the door from work, and you know, we'd shove food in children's faces, bathe them, throw them in bed, and I'd be like, see ya. And I'd be gone making labels till 2 a.m. So they pretty much have to be on board. Has our relationship changed? I mean, our relationship is, I'm going to say not a whole lot. He was always really supportive. All the fellas were. We call them the Mabel widowers. All the Mabel widowers were really supportive. I've had like two of us, and it's different. Like for me, I'm the primary caregiver in our family. In fact, he flies out Sunday nights for work and flies home Friday nights, which ain't such a bad thing. Right now, he's been doing that for 3 years. It would have been really hard when the kids were little. I think there's always been a mutual respect, but I've always had to put his work first, because he's actually he was the guy who was making the money to pay for the, ABA therapy when my son was in. Like, we needed his job. His job was more important in a lot of ways, but we never talked like that or acted like that. But I couldn't have him missing work because I needed to go and do a Mabel thing, because at the end of the day, if Mabel went to hell in a handbasket, he was the stable salary, and we have a bunch of kids and stuff. So I think he's always had a lot of pride and a lot of encouragement. People always say, "We're the guys involved in the business." No, we would never let that happen. I don't know that they would be as risky. Like Dave Cole, my brother. Oh my gosh! In the early days, we had to buy. This is not a risk taker, this dude, and we had to buy or lease some equipment. And this was in the really early days. And we're like, well, if we don't sell enough labels, then we're all gonna have to pitch in for the month. And it was like, when I look back, I think it was like $300 each or something for the month. But it was big money, like in those days, when the guys were all starting their careers and whatever. And, that was a lot of money to us. And my brother was having a fit. And we're just like, Dave, if we're gonna do this job right, we need to get this equipment. Like we know what our market wants. They want their products to work. They want them to be cute. We need this. He's like, oh my God, you guys are crazy. You girls are crazy, man. And then we did. Of course, we never had to pull out of our own pockets to, but it certainly has caused some of the men anxiety, depending on their appetite for risk, for sure. But no, we've had a great, in fact, you know what? It was so cute. My Mother's Day card for my 8-year-old, he said this year, what is it you're most proud of your mom? And he said that she owns Mabel's Labels. And I always remember that too. Like when I think about, working, and I work, and I actually do. I spend a lot of time with my kids. I'm home from the office every day when they get home from school, so I'm pretty lucky that way. But I remember, you got to remember too, because a lot of moms feel guilty about that. Oh, so gave up guilt, too. I don't feel guilty about anything. Such a waste of time. If I screw up or whatever, I say sorry and I move on and do better next time. I can't be weighed down with this nonsense of guilt. But I think about the role modeling you're doing for your children. Think about how they see mom working hard and so proud in something she's created. And the fact of the matter is, kids don't need their mothers engaged 100% of the time. Make the kids play alone and with each other. Like, I would never get on the floor and play My Little Ponies. I'll play euchre with them or do a puzzle or something, but there's a limit, right? So I think in the old days, mom was at the river washing the clothes and doing the do. She was never engaged 100% with the kids. Kids are fine. Again, the kids are all right. Everyone's fussing so much over these kids. And husbands, don't fuss over them either.
Hi, my name is Kathleen, and I own a company called Baby Prep Prenatal Education.
Okay.
And I was wondering, when it comes to hiring people, how go through that process of who fits Mabel's Labels and who doesn't, and that sort of thing.
Great question. You guys and your questions. Awesome. So we about 5 years ago, we did we went through a process to kind of finalize and understand what our company's core values are. So we interviewed everybody in the company, and we put together a set of our core values based on all the feedback and what's important to everybody. And these are more than posters that just hang on the wall. They are how we hire. We hire and fire by our core values. So we will integrate what's important to Mabel's Labels in our interview questions to see if it's going to be a culture fit. Because guess what? I can teach anyone how to make the labels. Come on into the, well, I couldn't anymore, actually. I couldn't make a label these days. But, you know, we can teach a lot. So if they come and they can learn and they've got the right mindset and they're a culture fit, welcome aboard. Fitting culture is the most important thing. And I always say hire slow, fire fast. You know, if somebody's not a fit, get rid of them. They cost you a lot of money to keep dead wood hanging around. Get rid of them. And we've learned that the hard way. We've had people hanging around too long. I'm like, are we still, 2 years later, are we still talking about this person in a meeting? If we're still talking about them, why are they still on the payroll? But it's hard to fire people, and it should be. Yeah, but still do it. As Mumby would say, where's Mumby's friend? Oh, there. More robots, less humans.
Good morning. My name is Kimberly, and I have recently left my professional role to stay at home with a 16-month-old, so I am an aspiring entrepreneur. I checked out your website. It is beautiful. And my question is, you're quite active on social media, and I'm wondering if you feel that you are effectively analyzing your return on that investment, and if you have just maybe 2 or 3 tips in those analytics.
Okay, so social media, look, the mom market is very word of mouth. Moms talk about products like it's our job. We talk about them when we do the school drop-off, the side of the soccer field. When social media came, we were like, bazinga, this is like word of mouth online. Again, moms are blogging, moms are on Facebook, that's where the moms are. So we very smartly got onto social media straight away. I mean, we were doing blogger outreach when people were like, what's a blogger? Like we have been in this space a long time. And yes, we do manage the analytics. If we weren't getting return on it, I'd be in the basement making labels right now, instead of talking with you folks here. Now, you'd have to talk to my digital marketing gal to get the ins and outs on the analytics. But at the same time, as much as I value analytics and return on investment and all that stuff, there's a lot of squishy stuff in there too, because this is essentially about social. And this is relationships, and I don't think that should get lost. So, really a big part for me is one of my ROIs on investment is how many hugs do I get at a blogging conference? And if it ever got, that didn't matter anymore, then I'm done. I'm out. Yeah.
Hi, Julie. I'm Melinda Coghill, and I'm an owner of a new craft brewery out in Port Moody, Yellow Dog Brewing Corp. Being a small business and just starting off, we're still in our first year. You talked about motivating your staff, and especially in your early years where you didn't have a lot of money to pay them millions. What ways did you motivate them to keep them engaged and excited to be there and working harder for you?
Okay, so one of a few ways, involve them. We let them know the numbers. We let them see our job descriptions. I let them know my goals. We're very transparent, and the more transparent you are, if you're not transparent, they're making stuff up. They're like, oh, look, the partners are all doing this, and they're going on trips and whatever, and here we are struggling. So make it transparent, and then they know everybody's on the same page, and that makes them feel more involved. And then we actually talk about, okay, what can we each be doing? What can we all do to help this business grow? So I think transparency is huge. Also, by having like a really strong community, like we do really fun things, right? Last year, we took all of them for a winery getaway. We were overnight in Niagara Falls. Oh my God, it was so much fun. Like doing stuff like that is really important as well. So we have a social committee. We have a community committee. We own a park, like we adopted a park. So we make sure it's clean. We've got a dodgeball team, hilarious. We got a softball team. We do, the big bike for Heart. So we do a lot of things where everybody's engaged together for common good. And and that seems to really help. We do have a profit sharing plan too. So if we're making money, you're all making money too. If we're not making money, you're not either. So everybody's got a bit of skin in the game.
And I'll keep the final question for myself because I really want to ask it.
Okay, talk.
Okay, so my question for you is after, in your third year, you hired a company to do some research into expanding to the US. If you can just share a little bit about how you knew or how you timed your entrance into the US market and what kind of preparation you did in order to do that.
So are you talking about when Mumby went over there? Or just...
When you hired an accounting firm to do some research.
Yeah, right, okay.
How you timed that and how that all worked out.
Well, it actually didn't work out that great because of the timing of the recession, but who was to know? However, we did know what we learned, what was really important was because we thought, if we can replicate Ontario, we had to really understand our market. What does the mom who buys Mabel's labels look like? What does she smell like? What does she feel like? We need to know her. And where does she live? And so we discovered sort of the 5. And she looks very much like a Vancouver mom, an Ontario mom, like her in Toronto. And where in the States does that mom live? So we looked at a ton of data. And then even though Mumby going over was probably not the best timing because of the recession and people are like living in tents and stuff, we still had that information. So then what we would do is we targeted those areas. So if we were going to do a baby show in the States, well, we knew now to do a baby show in Chicago. We knew now to do a baby show in Manhattan and in San Diego, or where, like we knew then, and then we would layer it. So we'd do a baby show, and then 2 weeks later, I might write a blog post for a bunch of mom sites in that town, and then we might do an advertising thing in that town, and then we might try and do a media. So we would try to layer our marketing activities. And again, a lot of this stuff is long lead. Like you start plopping a seed, and it can take years for that to build. But it is funny, these different communities. Like we've got this thing we call the Flower Mound, Texas phenomenon. Like somebody in Flower Mound's talking about us from the very get-go. Like I think everybody in Flower Mound has Mabel's labels, and it's just like it was back in the days when we were doing the envelopes and we're like, another order from Flower Mound. But that's how I think that's a really good example of how it's such a word of mouth product. Somebody ordered it, showed it around. That mom, Flower Mound mom, looks like our perfect customer, so they're ordering and that sort of thing. So basically it was about knowing who your customer looks like, making sure you go to them, and do a great marketing campaign around it.
Great. Yeah. Let's give it up for Julie Cole. Thank you.